ViperHeadTV. I'm Indica Pine, and today I'm going to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder and what strains would be best for post-traumatic stress disorder. I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying that a lot of different people have been telling him many different things about, different strains are good for post-traumatic stress, and he's really confused because he doesn't know what to recommend people. He's saying, on one end someone's like, oh, sativa is perfect for PTSD, and other end is, oh, indica. So I'm going to kind of help out a little bit, and I did a little bit of research, and I kind of figured out why there was so much confusion. First of all, PTSD is a type of anxiety disorder. It can occur after you have gone through an extreme emotional trauma that involved the threat of injury or death or something. Not everybody that experiences an emotional trauma involving the threat of injury or death will get PTSD. Usually post-traumatic stress disorder happens after like a rape, abuse, war, violence, violence as in, gang violence, just a random guy just popping up somewhere and shooting everything, and you just happen to be there, or like a robbery if you're in a bank and you witness a robbery and it's really scary, violence. Also accidents, car accidents, whatever, boat accidents, plane accidents, whatever, accidentally shoot my dad, whatever, accidents. And then also natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes. I hope I don't have to explain that very much. So, not anybody that experiences these types of traumas are going to have post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, not every soldier that comes back from war suffers from post-traumatic stress, and that's not saying some of those soldiers are weaker. It's just, there are, different factors that play in. Your inherited mental health risks, such as some people are at an increased risk for anxiety or depression because, your family members, it's an inherited mental issue that kind of is inherited, like your grandma, your great-grandma, your dad, whatever. Life experiences, including the amount and severity of trauma you've gone through since early childhood, your temperament, and the way your brain regulates the chemicals and hormones your body releases in response to stress. All these different things kind of play into whether or not you do get post-traumatic stress disorder after a trauma. So, I'm not saying, again, that some of those soldiers that get it are bad. I'm not saying that. I mean, they're all amazing for fighting for our country. But the ones that do get post-traumatic stress disorder, this is usually partly why they're more susceptible to post-traumatic stress than others. So, that's kind of what I'm saying. So, after saying that, I kind of looked into like the different types of post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, and not everybody gets the same type of post-traumatic stress. It's not always the same for everybody, but there's generally 3 different types of post-traumatic stress that people get, and they're all very disruptive in their own way. They disturb day-to-day activity in their own way, though some are obviously a little bit more severe than others. So one kind is reliving the event, flashback episodes, which is where you feel as though you're reliving the event over and over, like the scenario's happening again right in front of you. Repeated upsetting memories of the event, or nightmares of the event. If you continuously have nightmares, parasomnia, if you feel strong, uncomfortable reactions to situations that remind you of the event. Again, if you got caught up in a robbery in a bank, and every time you go into a bank, you feel so uncomfortable, and you feel so scared and get anxious, you can't breathe, your heart starts racing, you just can't be in there for very long, or you feel like it's going to happen again, whatever, that kind of feeling. Another type of PTSD is like emotional numbness, or feeling like you don't care about anything, feeling very detached, like you don't really, you're not a part of anything, you don't really care about anybody, not being able to remember important parts of the event or the event at all. There are cases of young children who were, there were cases of people who were raped as young children, and as adults they don't remember, but they experience different things, like they don't have a sex drive, or they're afraid of specific things or whatever, and through therapy they tend to kind of remember these very traumatic events, because they didn't realize that for so long they've had post-traumatic stress disorder, and they've completely forgotten, their brain has made them forget about these traumatic events because they're just too traumatic for their brain to handle. And in turn, the brain creates these fears and anxieties, which we don't understand because we don't remember. Another type is, or another part of like this kind of like avoidance type of PTSD, is not feeling interested in normal activities and showing less of your normal moods. You're not happy and sad anymore. You're just kind of, melatonin all the time. Just nothing, monotone all the time. Avoiding places, people, or thoughts that remind you of the event, or feeling like you have no future, are also indicators that you could have some sort of like avoidance PTSD. Another type of post-traumatic stress disorder is like hyperarousal. Always scanning your surroundings for any sort of sign of danger. Hypervigilance, not being able to concentrate, startling easily, feeling irritable or having outbursts of anger, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, insomnia, feeling guilt about the event, including survivor guilt. You may also feel symptoms of anxiety, stress, tension, agitation, excitability, dizziness, fainting, feeling your heartbeat really hard in your chest, headaches. All these different types of feelings are a type of PTSD called hyperarousal. So, along with therapy, medication is used for treatment. And the different types of strains that I looked into, depending on the patient, and depending on the type of post-traumatic stress disorder one is experiencing, I found about 2 or 3 or so that would probably be good. Mostly 2, I would say. A heavy indica would be very good for the first type of post-traumatic stress disorder that I explained, the flashbacks and stuff. I think a very heavy indica to help relax the body and mind and ease the patient's anxiety and tension would really help. I think Northern Lights Blueberry would be a really good strain, just because it has very sativa undertones, where it really relieves the mental anxiety as well as the physical anxiety and tension. But it's a very heavy indica, so it really helps kind of relax the body a lot. And people who experience extreme anxiety from the PTSD before bedtime would really benefit from this, and I think it would be most effective. The avoidance type of post-traumatic stress seems to revolve, around, antisocial behaviors. So I would say a very heavy sativa, like green crack or East Coast sour diesel, would be the most effective, because I think feeling more comfortable, feeling more comfortable mentally in situations where you feel very uncomfortable and you feel like you have to avoid, I think might aid in kind of bringing that person to feeling comfortable without needing any medication. So, if you have to go to, like, again, the bank example, if you need to go to the bank for something, but you feel so, you feel like you need to avoid the bank because of the traumatic situation, maybe maybe the medication would help you go to the bank and do what you need to do without feeling any sort of anxiety. And for the hyperarousal, I would say you would need both a heavy indica and a heavy sativa, because during the, like hypervigilance, not being able to concentrate, feeling irritable or having outbursts of anger, I think it would be easier to kind of ease that with a sativa. That's more of like a cerebral medication, I think. And the insomnia and the feeling startled easy, I think that would probably be better. It'd probably be better to use an indica for those. So I would say using like a mixture of East Coast Sour Diesel or Green Crack or something, and then a Northern Lights Blueberry as well would probably be a good combination, and would probably be the best medicine. I'm not saying cannabis cures post-traumatic stress disorder, only aiding in the removal or easing of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. The best cure for post-traumatic stress disorder would be regular counseling or therapy, regular use of medication, and support from family or friends. Again, I'm not saying cannabis will cure post-traumatic stress, but it will help with the symptoms. So if that helps, you're welcome. So